It is a Thursday edition of Orange and Blue Today. We are presented by Sean Ponda. It's Cecil, Lammey. It's Andrew Mason. And it's the Denver Broncos that want to turn things around after that debacle against Miami Dolphins. Now, you and I have been in the locker room on Wednesday and Thursday, Mace. I'm impressed with this team and their mannerisms after that embarrassing loss. To a man, we're getting some good conversation from these players.
You hear the term flushing it out a lot, right? It's all you really can do, but there's a maturity there that I think is something maybe was a little bit more than we were expecting on the positive side. But the locker room, the mood in the locker room was pretty businesslike when we were in there.
The way I put it on Wednesday's show is like there's a thread of anger, not bad in a bad way, but like a business approach. We only lost once. You didn't lose twice, even though you lost by 50. Like, again, the way that football players, and this is a larger conversation than this show, but the way they can compartmentalize things, I think it's telling of their professionalism. And I like what you said, maturity.
Yeah. And there's some life lessons in there as well. I mean, I was talking with Mike Purcell for a little bit on Wednesday, and you can't really change the past, right? It's all about what you do moving forward. When you learn that lesson, you're able to accomplish more and then not be held back by your struggles of the past. We'll see if this actually results in more positive results in the future, but it's a starting point to understand that and then try to apply that. Again, you get into games on Sunday under the stress of the moment, everyone goes back to ingrained behavior and ingrained thought patterns, right?
Right.
That's what you're going to have to overcome. But, you talked about the emotion, and Mike McGlinchey,
love him,
had a really interesting answer about that on Wednesday. He was talking about just in general getting over the game, but he talked about the need to avoid being too emotional. And you got that beautiful beam footage, right?
Yes, I do.
Let's roll it.
I think you just keep at it. I think, it's just reps. I think it's just putting yourself in that moment and especially at practice and making sure the reps that you have are deliberate and you're trying to put yourself in the mindset of the moment that you're going to be in, the emotion that you're going to feel when it is a big moment in the game, and how do you lock in on the task at hand, because I think emotions make smart people dumb and make good athletes bad athletes. And so I think by having that in check and being able to focus on the process and what the job is rather than what's going on around you is the key to that, and that all happens in practice.
How about that? The emotion makes good athletes into bad athletes.
Right. Makes smart people dumb.
Yes. It's true, right? Now, I mean, sometimes you can't help but be emotional in the moment.
Yes.
But you got to find a way to, in that environment, you got to cut it out. You cut that away, take that out of your thought pattern. Look, if you're emotional, if you're a play caller who's emotional, it leads to bad decisions. It leads to, we got to get it back in one play. Like, I'll say this. Was it you that was saying, we're saying that after the fumble, you need to take a deep shot?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. After you get the ball, football 101, you get the ball back. No, it's turnover on downs.
Yeah, turnover on downs.
Right.
Okay, turnover on downs.
Yep.
Okay. I get what you're saying, but that is also what the opponent is expecting too. So if you take the emotion of, okay, we got to have this big strike right away out of it, it can lead to maybe a more sensible approach.
I don't want to push back, but as a toss play to Javonte, really, hey, we got the ball back. Let's have a 2-yard toss play.
Okay. At the same time, you're also trying to establish a hold on the pace of the game right there, right? It'd be nice to have one play, get it all back, get it back, get a touchdown. But is that really going to produce what you're hoping for? I imagine part of the rationale governing that call there was, let's try to have, it can't be a 7-minute drive because you're only at the 34-yard line or 33-yard line. Let's have, a good 5-6 play drive that can at least chew up 3 minutes and get some control over the pace of the game here.
Part of playing the Dolphins is you had to keep their offense off the field, and
Right.
you didn't do that.
Yeah, you got the gift because they had a very bad 4th and 1 call, right?
Mike McDaniel, one bad call.
Yeah. I mean, we're sitting there in the press box, making our judgments from on high there above the club level, and we're all saying, "Don't you do the tush push here? Get 2 inches."
Yeah, easy.
Instead, you did a play that took too long to develop. It was the only time that Mike McDaniel lost the plot in that game. Then the Broncos, of course, went 3 and out, went backwards.
Right.
I think the failure had more to do with the penalty involved there than
play couldn't even get started,
call.
And you had a penalty, ironically, on Mike McGlinchey.
Yeah, and penalties have unfortunately been his partner the last couple of weeks.
I like that. Well, I don't like that, but that's a good way to put it.
Not a dance partner that you want. The yellow flag. That's you'd like to. You don't want a yellow pocket square in your jacket, as it were.
Well, we get philosophical on this show at times, and I'm not going to quote Kierkegaard, although I could.
We could. You want to go back there, or you want to save that for Friday?
We can save it for Friday. But to me, it's thoughts, emotions, and actions, the Holy Trinity.
Mm-hmm.
The thought is there with this team. The emotions are clearly there. Now the actions we need to see. But Mace, I was impressed. And that's why I said, and McGlinchey said, like, the sky's not falling. We've got that clip from McGlinchey as well. We should just play that too.
Let's play that.
Some wisdom from Mike McGlinchey. Everyone take a listen here.
I understand that Sunday was not what we wanted it to be, but to come in here and hang your head 3 games into the season is crazy to me. We're trying to figure this thing out. Obviously, it's year 1 of our tenure with Coach Payton, and we're all trying to figure this thing out and grow as this process goes on. But to come in here and act like the sky's falling and the season's over after 3 weeks is absolutely insane. And we have a lot of work to do. We have a really good chance to improve this week and a chance to right the ship. And I think, all you got to do is one's a streak. And as soon as you get one, things start falling into place. Guys start believing a little bit more, and the process just continues on. And it's only September, and we got a long way to go in this thing. And I think it would be pretty pointless to play this game and to operate under an emotional swing of, oh, this thing's over now. It's truly, it's just, it was a big bump, but it's a bump in the road. And we're all going to grow, and we're going to be better. And the only thing you can do is come into work with a positive attitude and get better.
Okay.
Wow.
There's some good stuff there. I know that when I posted this on social media on Wednesday, it didn't exactly go over very well with a lot of Bronco fans. They're viewing it from a different perspective. Look, I'm sorry. A fan view and a player view are 2 different things.
Emotions running wild.
Yeah.
Emotions in check.
Fan, short for fanatic. Fanaticism is emotion run amok. You could even say in an unhealthy way, right? Mm-hmm. What good does it do the players and coaches to be handling it that way? You want them to be focused on the moment in front of them, the opportunity in front of them, the job in front of them. And if you think the sky is falling, then that's going to lead to panic-stricken behavior. Mm-hmm. You can't fall victim to that. You've got to, again, they always say one play at a time, and that's really kind of what it comes down to. If you focus on that moment, the thing that is in front of you, your brain doesn't have a chance to kind of start, going down the path. It's when we start kind of going beyond the moment and start to saying X leads to Y, Y to Z, Z to A to B, A to C, and all of a sudden you're 10 steps down, you're worried about something that isn't in front of you. The way you find your way out of this is starting by focusing on the moment. Yes, you're 0-3, okay? Your first job is 1-3. And then after that, it's 2-3. In Rogue One, what was it that Jen said? We're gonna take the next chance, and if we survive that, we take the next chance, and on until we win the day, or all our chances are spent.
Yeah,
that's all you can do.
Well, you and I haven't said it in a while on this show, but it's catastrophizing,
Yes.
right? And when your brain is actually hardwired, when synapses, the more you think something, your synapses will grow closer together so that when something happens and you react, oh, life sucks, my job sucks, whatever, your brain is hardwired itself to that. So you have to be careful because synapses that fire together wire together, and what you think about, you bring about. So as a player, you go, that was last week. This week is a new challenge.
And here's the thing, like you catastrophize, you do that. I mean, when I'm guilty of it, it's filling in the blanks. Okay, I only have this much information, but I'm trying to make the puzzle here to find the missing puzzle pieces. And unfortunately, my brain tends to fill it with the worst possible outcome. And that won't get you anywhere. If you can kind of find a way to keep the focus on, whatever the next piece is, instead of like filling in all the pieces for yourself, whatever you find the next piece to be, and then going on and continuing to put that puzzle together, you're not going to let it get out of control. But you said hardwired. I mean, it's sort of, for some of us, it's human nature. Some of us, it's the way our brains operate. Sometimes I have trouble turning my brain off, and it's really hard. And I can't relax, and so my brain always starts putting forth these possibilities to fill in the gaps of that exist in what I know, and then all of a sudden it's filling it in with negativity. That's not going to do anybody any good.
Yeah, overthinking. It's what I do a lot.
Paralysis by analysis is another manifestation.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. So we got all sorts of topics today, but I saw silver linings. I said it Wednesday. People don't believe me. Whatever. You'll be fine. I'll be fine. Whatever. But yes, from that Dolphins game, Mace, there were silver linings. And I gave Drew Sanders as an example. Drew Sanders didn't have bad eyes. He ran himself out of plays, but it's not because he's dumb and doesn't know what's not happening. He sees it. He sees it fast. He gets there too fast. I want a little bit more patience there with the Drew Sanders. So there are few, but there are silver linings, and that's why the sky isn't falling.
Over pursuit, right? I mean, that's a lot of Drew Sanders' tale. And when you over pursue, instead of being in position to make the tackle, we saw him a couple times literally kind of slide and go past the man, right? The running back sees Drew coming in, makes his cut, and then all of a sudden Drew's out of position, flailing. There you go.
Right.
It's something he's going to have to learn. Yeah, you certainly hope he gets better at that. There's going to be time, and look, when you see Josie Jewell starting the week over on the side field, that's usually the indication that we may be talking about Drew Sanders in the lineup.
Yep.
Come Sunday. And that's, he got Justin Fields, and Fields is off to a shaky start in Chicago, but he's going to put some stress on Drew Sanders.
Oh yeah.
If Sanders plays in this game.
Now, we also got another indication on Wednesday because Justin Simmons talked. And that's usually a sign, Mace, that a player is going to be available. So Simmons returned.
When he did the press conference specifically, he was on the box
right.
Outside of Broncos headquarters.
Up in front of all the muggles. That's us. But Justin Simmons talking.
I like that you used that term, by the way.
I like it too, man. Got a
tip
of the cap.
3 points for Gryffindor, baby.
Simmons return. Nothing but good things, because obviously they needed him last week.
They did. Starting right at the beginning, the third play, when you've got one receiver crossing, draws Delaren Turner yell over, just gets him to take a couple of false steps. And then all of a sudden, you got Tyreek Hill going into the vacate space. He's got an area code to himself. All the 305 was for him. Touchdown. Just like that.
Right.
It did get better for Delaren Turner yell over the course of the game, but that one is very, very hard to shake. But there were some good things. And again, kind of like with Drew Sanders, when you're a young player out there getting that first huge morsel of experience, it's going to help you get better. So, I believe it's been said many times, we learn by doing. And sometimes learning by doing means that you're doing the wrong thing, you're making a mistake out there, but can you avoid that going forward? Can you make the correction and move on? Kareem Jackson, 14-year veteran, who's been around the block many times, had this to say about Delaren Turner Yell's first NFL start.
He actually played pretty good. I mean, and we expect that from him. I mean, he's been there a few years now. He's one of the guys that's in the room. That's a younger guy that, when he's in there, he operates like he's a veteran guy. So, I mean, for me, I was definitely happy for him in the way he played. He played physical. But for him, it's just all about, capitalizing and growing off of that. Just each and every day, just trying to get better.
Played physical, and if you have Kareem Jackson saying that you played physical, you did.
That's a high compliment.
That is, because that's something on which K-Jack prides himself. I mean, he plays physical beyond his stature. And when K-Jack, team captain, sees that in you, you done something right.
Well, and one of the things with Kareem Jackson, Mace, if Delarrin Turner-Yell hadn't been good in his eyes, he would have been nice,
yes,
cordial, but he wouldn't have said what he said.
No,
so when Kareem Jackson said that, antennas go up.
Yeah, I mean that is okay. Let's go rewatch the film a little bit and take a second look at Delarrin Turner-Yell.
It's more than just the first play, the third play, whatever it was.
The third play is hard to get out of your mind,
but it's 2 steps. It's literally the length of this table.
It's the fine
That's
line.
all he moved.
At this level, it's such a fine line. The difference between college football and pro football is in college you can make those 2 missteps and you can catch up, because sometimes the player you're going against is going to be in graduate school or selling insurance or doing whatever a year or 2 from now, right? There are none of those guys in the NFL. So the margins are so thin. You make 1 misstep, you're paying. And he made 2, and it was Katie bar the door after that.
Yeah, it was big touchdown.
But can he learn from it? Can he grow from that? If Justin Simmons goes, and like we mentioned earlier, the fact that he did the press conference on Wednesday tells you Simmons is probably going to play. So we may be talking about a little bit longer before we see more of Turner-Yell. And then you're going to get PJ Locke back. Every indication is PJ Locke's going to be active as soon as the window opens for him, which will be next week.
That's next week. Yep.
So the quick path to playing time for Turner-Yell may not be there once you've got PJ back in the lineup, because PJ is, I think, pretty clearly ahead of him. We saw that in training camp. But if another day comes for Turner-Yell, I think he will have learned from the missteps that he had last Sunday, and he'll grow.
Well, I'll bring up a name that maybe people won't agree with this, which is fine, but it reminds me of Damari Mathis's first game. And it's like, okay, you've got to maintain your confidence. As difficult as it is, when you're doing this in front of however, God knows how many people are watching, you have to stay confident. So the next time Turner-Yell gets a shot, he's going to make sure to build on the confidence he gained from that starting experience.
Yeah, exactly. I think the thing is, I think people sometimes fall into the trap of assuming that something is this way and has been this way for a certain amount of time, and thus it will always remain that way. And that's not true. We are all, every one of us is in a perpetual state of evolution and growth, right? You're not the same person that you were yesterday or last week or last month. I mean, you may have the same characteristics, but you learn something. Like the first day you were on the job, you didn't know everything about your gig that you know today, right? So you weren't a finished product. You were learning, you're growing. Why wouldn't that be the case for a guy playing in pro football?
Yeah.
I think that the thing that some people fall into the trap of is saying that, okay, well, he got beat early in that game, and thus, he's always going to suck, right? No. That's not the case. The thing is, you have to be patient with it. And I think patience, by and large, is exhausted among the public around here.
And it's not even these players' faults. The public, yes.
I understand that. Again, 6 straight losing seasons. I get why the reservoir of patience has dried up, like Lake Powell, in the last few years, right?
I thought it was rising again.
It rose this year.
They found a bunch of dead bodies, and then it rose back up.
It rose this year, and then, but the overall trend is still alarming. Okay. Yeah, the reservoir is pretty well dry in Broncos country, but that may be what's needed. And that's why, look, I mean, we're not saying it today. We might be saying it by Monday if the Broncos don't win this game. If they lose to the other orange and blue, or I guess they're the blue and orange, the Chicago Bears.
Right. They're 0-3. We
Yeah.
know that.
Yeah. If you're falling in this battle of who could win less, yeah, you're talking about the R word.
Mm-hmm. Rebuild.
Yes.
Yes.
If you win this, you beat the Jets the following week. Not yet. You are to quote Star Trek 3. I know we usually do Star Wars, but I think this is apt here. If you win the next couple of games, you have turned death into a fighting chance to live. Of course, unfortunately for the Broncos, that fighting chance is going to involve 2 games in 3 weeks against the defending world champion Kansas City Chiefs.
Yes, that team.
Yes. We'll get there, though. We'll worry about that step when it comes. Right now, it's all about the Chicago Bears.
Well, we talk about improving. A question thread this week for us in the locker room was like, how do you get better at tackling if you can't practice tackling?
Mm-hmm.
Something that you asked. You call him J-Mac. He's your guy, man. We love him.
Everyone else in the locker room was calling him that. So I figured, and he answers when I call him that. So yeah, there you go.
He's J-Mac.
And listen, anyway, let's roll that beautiful bean footage of J-Mac.
I think it was a lot of things. It's not just when you miss a tackle, just pursuit. I feel like pursuit is the most important thing. Teammate might miss a tackle, but other teammate in pursuit right there to tackle you down for maybe one more down or maybe no extra yards, but just working in extra space. Something we worked on today, just attacking the hip and just keep closing out on the hip. Just take a shot.
Take your shot.
Mm-hmm.
Keep closing. And pursuit.
Keep closing. Always be closing. Right?
Coffee's for closers.
Yes. Got to earn your coffee on the defensive end there. Put that coffee down. I'm sorry. I had to do it.
You have to.
You have to.
Yeah. They got to get some coffee. I don't need any more coffee today, but
this team could use some coffee or a 5-hour energy or a Monster energy drink,
right?
Or whatever trips your trigger. This team could use a little boost here.
They could.
Yeah.
And perhaps playing against Chicago is that said boost and against that offense that hasn't found their footing. But you've got to tackle, and we'll get more into this on Friday's show.
Because if you don't tackle Justin Fields well,
Roshan Johnson, everybody.
Your guy.
It's a problem. Khalil Herbert, that's a problem. Cole Kmet as a tight end, that's a problem.
They've got some good skill dudes.
They do.
That's the thing. You look at the Bears' offensive production, you see, what is it so far this year? 20 points, 13 points, 10 points? With what they've got skill-wise, that is abysmal.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Now with more DJ Moore and nothing.
Yes,
Chase Claypool's talented. Nothing.
Well, I mean, Claypool.
Darnell Mooney's talented.
Man, talk about a dude that I was wrong about. Chase Claypool, man, when he made that play in week 2 in Pittsburgh 3 years ago against the Broncos, I mean, I'm thinking, shoot, Pittsburgh's found the next link in the chain. The Steelers do such a great job of finding wide receiver.
If they're drafting wide receivers, it means you're good.
Yes. Yeah, and I thought, man, we're going to be talking about another Juju, another Mike Wallace, just another link in the chain, right?
Mm-hmm. And instead it was another Limas Swede.
Oh, there's got
to go back on that one.
There's a deep cut right there.
Well, they used to not be able to draft receivers like Troy Edwards. Remember him?
Yeah. Well, their pattern was that like the guys who came from the middle round, from the second round and the middle rounds, Antonio Brown. I'd be remiss not to mention him. By the way, I covered Antonio Brown's dad in the Arena Football League.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah. I've covered the sons of a few players that I covered in the last few years. That's when you're getting old in this, and you've done this thing for a little bit too long. But I digress. Yeah, but that was the whole thing with Pittsburgh is like when they, some of their higher draft picks, Limas Swede, now Chase Claypool didn't work out, and their middle round picks were the ones on which they were terrific. You mentioned Troy Edwards. God, I've forgotten about him.
Louisiana Tech.
That's right.
Well, Emmanuel Sanders is what, a 4th rounder? Antonio Brown, a 5th rounder? Like they've found guys.
Emmanuel Sanders was a 3rd rounder, part of that. A wonderful stretch of wide receivers in that draft because it included Emmanuel Sanders, it included Eric Decker. I was working for the Panthers at the time of that draft, and that unfortunately included Armonte Edwards, a converted quarterback from App State.
App State.
And the Panthers trade a second rounder the following year for a third rounder that year to pick Armonte, the pride of the App State Mountaineers program in Boone, North Carolina. That didn't work well. By the way, never trade a future 2 for a 3. At least when the Broncos made the Riley Moss trade, it was a future 3 to move up and get a 3. I could wrap my arms around, even though all the analytics on picks and whatnot tell you don't do that. But at least if the Broncos ever trade a future 2 for a 3 that year, man, I might blow a gasket.
I just remember the Alfonso Smith trade.
A future 1
that was a 1 that became Earl Thomas.
Future Hall of Famer Earl Thomas.
Ugh.
That, by the way, that trade happened twice in that draft, in that 2009 draft. Carolina and Denver did it. Not a coincidence that both Jerry Richardson and Pat Bowlen were bigwigs on the league's labor committees, and you had a lockout in the 2011 offseason. Okay, there were some other things at play with those trades. Carolina makes the trade. They get Everett Brown, and the guy that they see with the pick the following year was Mike Iupati, who became an all-pro offensive lineman for the 49ers. And the Broncos do it, and it's even worse than an all-pro. Like I said, Earl Thomas is going to put on a gold jacket. Right? Alfonso Smith was gone from the Broncos the following year. Part of the worst the worst round of draft picks in Broncos history, the 2009 second round. Alfonso Smith, Darcel McBath, and, of course, Richard Quinn.
That's right.
That's right. The right Quinn, right?
Yep.
Not Robert Quinn.
Robert. It was Richard.
There were multiple.
They traded back in, and I thought they were going to get the Terrapin running back. Who was that? Was it Lamont Jordan? I can't remember, but I remember the lights coming on.
Jordan was on the team, but that wasn't his draft.
The lights came on in the draft room when they weren't supposed to pick, and I was like, who are they going to pick? And I thought it was that running back, or I thought it was the dude that could jump out of the pool. The Bears ended up taking him. Defensive lineman. Worked out with Travell Gaines, who's my buddy, but so I was like, it was San Jose State kid. But I was like, wow, you've got all these options. The Broncos moved back in, and then they took a guy that caught 12 passes in college. North Carolina, right? Yeah, he got 12 passes.
He's a blocking tight end. And no offense to blocking tight ends, but I'm going to use a quote from a friend of ours about positional value. Blocking tight ends like that, you're not taking them late in the second round, okay? That is a day 3 thing, or even an undrafted thing. Look, Nate Atkins is a versatile guy, but he probably ends up being more of a blocking tight end. He's undrafted. That's fine. That's when you do that sort of thing, with all respect to those players. Not there at pick 64. Are you talking about Jerron Gilbert, right?
Yes.
From San Jose State.
Yes.
Okay, who was that?
I can't remember the running back's name.
The next running back off the board was Sean Green from Iowa, who went to the New York Football Jets.
Okay.
Other running backs in that space were let's see, Glenn Coffey to San Francisco. He didn't really work out.
No, it wasn't him.
No. Long way before we get to the next running back there. But by the
Glenn
way,
coffee talk today. We did have coffee talk. We have had coffee talk.
More coffee talk.
More coffee talk.
Duran was neither Duran nor Duran discussed. Oh, that's a terrible impression. I'm sorry. I don't mean to do that to y'all.
Maybe you need an energy drink.
I'll be fine.
You're okay.
I didn't get enough sleep last night.
Star Trek 3's name is what now?
The Search for Spock.
That's right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Where was Spock? He directed the film. Yeah, The Search for Spock. Leonard Nimoy directed it. That's where he was. He was
behind the camera.
Spock was behind the camera. He was there all along. Sorry.
Which one was the one with the whales?
That's Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home.
Voyage Home.
Because in Star Trek 3, they get Spock's body, which has been regenerated, part of the Genesis effect. They take it back to planet Vulcan. They put his, spirit back in his head, Katra. And then Star Trek 4 is they go back from Vulcan to Earth, but then you have a probe that is looking to find out why it lost contact with humpback whales, and it's draining the oceans. And so they go back in time to 1986. Nice way to save some budget, by the way, to say, we're going to do a time travel picture and go back to the present day. So all we have to do is take our crew to San Francisco and film 2/3 of the movie,
Right.
right? That was smart. And yeah, that's when they brought the whales back to the future, which was out the previous year. And then all is right with the world again. And then the kicker at the end of the film is Kirk being demoted from admiral to captain, and they gave him a ship. I mean, if they demoted him private, what would they do? Give him the whole fleet at that point?
Right.
Anyway, live long and prosper.
That's right.
So we had Star Trek and Star Wars.
Kind of.
I practiced. This is how much of a nerd I was when I was a kid. I'm still a nerd. I practiced it against the window to get it right.
What?
That's it right there. Yeah. I can do it perfectly. Don't even have to think about it. I taught my
Your
hand
muscles.
Yeah, I can do it with both hands. See? Yeah.
Really live long and prosper. Anyway, when we
gotta
get
go
silly,
like this and go.
we need sleep.
I am so goofy.
We need the Broncos to flip and win.
Yeah, we're about to lose it here.
Yeah.
If they can't get this
No,
done.
if they don't beat Chicago. Friday show is about previewing that, but you can always tell when it's time to wrap, Mace, because we get silly. So is that it? Are we done today?
I think so. I think we're done. We got some stuff to do.
Okay. All right. He's Mace. Follow him on all your socials at Mace Denver. I am at Cecil Lammey saying thanks, everyone. Do all the YouTube things. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you never miss a vid. And we appreciate you all helping to grow the YouTube channel. He's Mace. I'm Cease. OBT is a BFD. Until next time, stay tuned and stay frosty.